Thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. We are a group of entrepreneurs who all got our start in real estate wholesaling and parlayed that success into multi-million-dollar business. It's your girl, it's Jessica Myers, the deal maker.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Mo Hustle, the she builder.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, it's the Grand Guy, the influencer.
I am Superstar Shauna with
DC John.
And together we are Flippin' Love.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Errol J. Allen.
It's time to get ate.
All things entrepreneur. It gets tough, but you gotta stick to it.
And we have a special guest today joining us, Mr. Anthony Joyner.
My name is AJ. I'm the small town kid with big time dreams.
And serial entrepreneur, amazing. Sion and Shauna couldn't be here today, but they will stay tuned. They will be back joining us. But today we got Mr. AJ in the house. All Things Entrepreneur is really about 6 relentless entrepreneurs that got together. We all got our start through wholesaling and have launched it into successful, amazing businesses that are just tearing up here in Atlanta. And we love having conversations with other entrepreneurs. So how you doing?
I'm amazing, man. So first of all, thank you guys for doing this. I had the opportunity to sit in and hear some of the conversations, and I've been uplifted just by hearing what you guys are talking about. So I think it's important to surround yourself with idea people, and that's what you guys are. So I appreciate y'all doing this.
Yeah. Now, if anybody knows the pulse and influence of what people need, you've mastered that. I've known you for over 10 years now, being a serial entrepreneur, being in various ventures. Do you want to kind of give us like a little breakdown of where your entrepreneurship journey has led and your most recent project that you're working on now?
Yes. So honestly, I'm a small town kid, like I said earlier, right? And coming from a small town, one of the things Leesville, Louisiana. So
that's small town.
Very, very small
that's
town.
small.
Like
She said
literally,
small town.
everybody on our street could give me a whooping. Like that small, right? But one of the things you learn in a small town is community, right? So I've always been about community, about relationships. But the other part was watching my grandmother as a janitor and working all these odd jobs is seeing opportunity, right? So that's one of the things I learned from her in the small town is seeing opportunity. So when I transitioned to Atlanta, I could immediately see all these gaps and these different clicks and different, and I just saw opportunity in every area that I looked in. So I just started taking advantage of it.
Yeah. So what do you do now? Like, can you talk about the business that you got now? And you just got funded. Yes,
$120,000 venture investment, and we just got our valuation. We're at $2.14 million in less than 6 months. So that was my buyout offer. That's the first buyout offer. But the VCs are saying that it's easily a 9-figure business because of the industry that we chose. So anyway, so my current software that I'm building is called Blooksy. It is a end-to-end publishing, book writing platform. So it's literally you have an idea to write a book, you write it, you can transcribe it, so you can record directly into the software. It will turn your words into chapters. You can connect to distribution partners. You can publish. You can build your own landing page. You can sell all on the platform, and that doesn't exist right now.
You know what's funny? I literally, you know Gary Vee, right?
Yeah.
So I always wondered, like, because the man's always doing everything in the world, and I'm like, how do you find time to write a book? And he doesn't seem like the type of person to write a book. And I saw him like actually audibly, like he would say it, and then people would then go out and then transcribe it and do all that for him. So was it kind of like sparked off of that, or how did you come to the conception of this idea?
So my professional background is software development, project management type stuff, and a big part of that, there's a certification called Six Sigma. It's a process improvement certification. So I got the green belt. That's like the one in the middle. Anyway, the premise of that is looking at a process and making it easier, right? So when I wrote my first book, I did it the hard way, right? And I was like, okay, how can I make this easier? So I thought, why not just transcribe the meetings like we do in corporate America, and we would just hire somebody to transcribe them and do meeting notes. So I said, okay, well, let me just record my thoughts. And I paid for other software to transcribe it. Then I put it in a Word document, and I'd hire somebody to edit it. And that was my process. So I started teaching that process in workshops all over the country. Then the pandemic hit, and again, seeing opportunities, right? And you said it a minute ago, right? When everybody's scrambling, I was like, whoa, why can't I just build software to do this instead of doing workshops and doing a publishing company? So I started building it. And here we are. This is 1 year, actually, this month. 1 year. So I went from literally idea to a $2.14 million business in 1 year.
Wow.
So, and again, that's 7% funding at $120,000, but I got my first buyout offer, and they're saying it's a 9-figure business. But anyway, it's seeing the opportunities. But go ahead.
So, because I'm always curious about people's exit strategies in business. So, is this something that you're going to hold long term, or are you going to sell it, or like you're selling to keep the rights, or like what are you going to do with this play?
So I'm still on the fence with that because I did have a number, but meeting with different people who have done software exits because I'm in a different world now. Like I'm literally, as far as owning a platform, we typically don't own platforms. We create content for other platforms, right? So now I'm in a different position, and seeing that other people have created platforms, they have 8-9-figure exits, right? So initially I was like, $10 million, I'm good. But now that they're saying, oh, this can be $90, $100, $200 million business, I'm rethinking it a little.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So yeah, that's the exit strategy is still kind of on the fence.
And is this your first project you would say you raised money for? Is this
actually not? So again, entrepreneurship is just a roller coaster, right? So when we met over a decade ago, over a decade ago, I had another business, and this was in the travel space. So think Groupon travel. I created something called the Weekend Collection, and the premise of the Weekend Collection, we're in Atlanta, and people like to do little quick getaways. So I thought, what are all the quick creative getaways that are within 4 to 5 hours of Atlanta, and I started packaging them together, right? And I was a travel agent, or I had my license at the time, so I would go negotiate deals. I had an email list. I think at the time we had maybe 200,000 people on the email list. Wow. So I would email the deals out. People would buy the deals, but again, I was sort of a solopreneur trying to do all of it, negotiate the deals, do the email marketing, do the website, and I couldn't do it. And 3 months after I launched, Groupon Travel launched, and people didn't even want to talk to me no more. But I learned a lot.
So, because obviously there's a lot that goes into becoming a person to do what you just did.
Sure.
What are some books or where did you get information from to be able to execute and do that?
I think the first book that was sort of a game changer was Think and Grow Rich. And I know everybody...
That was one of my favorite books.
Yeah, it's a game changer because the way that we think can be our limit, but it can also be our propeller, right? So once you start to think at scale and you start to think like, I can get around people who are doing the same thing or doing better than I am, and I can learn more, propel my career faster, that's sort of the baseline for me, taking off and doing different things than what I was doing. And also wanting to do things, a gentleman said earlier, do things differently than the people around me, right? So just leveraging that.
So what's your daily day to day like
right now?
Right now.
Right. It's literally everything. So because it's a software company and we're still in our infancy, because we're still in beta, right? So we have 100 or so paid users, but I'm sending out email marketing. I'm meeting with potential investors because we're getting ready to go into another raise for hiring our first crew. So I'm meeting with investors. I'm hiring. I think I'm gonna hire my first marketing person. I just hired an analyst. I'm doing email marketing. I'm doing social media. I have a customer service team that I'm training. So I'm literally doing everything. Right?
But it's interesting because you're talking about hiring, and before you said your first venture, you were doing everything yourself.
Yes.
How has that transition been from hiring a team around you to being the solopreneur?
It's honestly kind of hard because when something is your baby, you feel like nobody can do it the way you can. And the hardest thing for me was in the email marketing because I literally started as a writer before all of this started. So I'm thinking a certain tone, a certain way that I say things, but I have to understand that I can't do that. There are people that can do a better job than me. So the hardest part is actually letting go, right? And then the other thing, growing up in a small town, it's more about family. And what my investor told me today is you don't look for a family, you look for skill sets, and you look to build a team. So I always look for kindred spirits and things like that, but is this person competent and can they accomplish the goal that I set for them, right? So it's sort of a mindset shift. So I think that's the hardest part about hiring other people.
And that's what I was going to say, the mindset of the business that you're in. Like, talk about that part. Like the lows, like you're at a high right now, right? So what about when you was at the low point? Like when you went through that part that you went through.
Yeah.
Just like when Groupon bought out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Because imagine pouring your heart and soul into something.
Right.
And then that's just kind of like what Facebook, where they'll take on a feature, like something will come out really dope, and then Facebook will come out with a feature in a week.
Right.
So it's just like,
Or buy it.
Right.
or buy it, right? So that again, that's part of the entrepreneur sort of like what we have to learn. You're gonna lose, right? But you can't look at it as losing. You're like, okay, I learned how to do that, and now I can build on top of that. I learned how to grow an email list to 200,000 people, right? And everybody can't do that. So now I have this asset that I can leverage for something else. I learned how to do email marketing copy. I learned how to negotiate deals. I learned how to cold call people and walk into an office where people don't know me, win their trust. And I had long dreads back then, right? And this is a decade ago, and even, people were looking at me like, who is this hip hop kid coming here trying to negotiate travel deals, right?
Yeah.
So it was a total learning experience. But again, the lows, man, it's lonely. Like, honestly. Yeah. And I honestly, at times, even now, it's more pressure. Because now I feel like I've taken this investment, so I got to show and prove. And as a black dude, this is hard for us to get investment anyway, especially from a venture capital firm, right? So I'm looking at all these people in their portfolio, and they don't look like me, right? So now I'm doing, calls, and I'm the person. I feel like I got to represent the culture, but I got to keep myself. I got to be who I am, but I still got to do a little code switching, approach, and I still got to be safe, and you know what I'm saying? All these things. So there's a lot of pressure, and a lot of times you do feel like you want to say, you know what, F this, I'll go ahead and sell, I'll take the money, and I can do something else. Right. So it's like you're under a spotlight all the time. And then, one more thing on that, it's your internal pressure you put on yourself. You know what I mean? Because once you've had wins, people expect you to win
all the time.
Right? So when it's like you put yourself out there again, it's like, oh, AJ's doing this thing, and I'm like, shit, if I fail now, now streets is talking, even though they don't care, you know what I'm saying? But still, internally, you feel like you got to show and prove, not only for yourself, but for your family, my daughter, you know what I'm saying? All these people. So that's what that is.
So when it comes to like raising capital,
I
think a lot of people have a fear in approaching, capital. So what was something that you had to overcome when it came to approaching people with your ideas to raise capital to make these things happen?
It's understanding that they're only looking at you as an opportunity to make money. So they don't care about your idea.
Who's they?
Yeah, I mean the investors. I'm sorry,
gotcha.
The they, right? They don't care about your idea. They care about how scalable is your idea, right? They care about if you go left, can they replace you? Because they'll do that in a New York second, right? So they want scalability. They don't care about your emotions. They don't care about what you think your strategy. They don't care about your relationships. They literally they're like, hey, is this a 10x idea? Because they're looking to make money off of you. So you're literally their cash cow, right? So you have to understand that and take your emotions out of it.
So what's one piece of advice that you could give someone that feels like I have this great idea, I don't know where to start to make this come to light, or even like how do I approach people? How do I put together this whole opportunity to really bring this vision to light?
So it's, first of all, think about your idea and who are the people that are doing it well. And in my world, it's sort of deconstructing how they got to where they are, right? So if your goal is to make $10 million a month, how many units do you have to move to do that? Who are the people that have to be in place to do that? What are the systems that have to be in place to do that, right? So it's deconstructing that, and then are you the person to even take it that far, right? Who are the partnerships that you can leverage to grow that, right? So you have to think about all that, but then you have to present it in a way that they can get it really quickly.
Absolutely.
And there are, again, I've known this because I've done it. A lot of times we have the same ideas, just sort of refurbished versions of the same idea, right? So is it something that's set apart enough to where you're special enough for them to give you that money, right? Because again, I don't want to say a particular business model, but if you're doing something that basically anybody can do, it's harder to get funds.
It depends
You gotta
upon.
be different.
It's almost that's actually mentioned in
out.
Think and Grow Rich.
Exactly.
Talking about the law of compensation and how good are you at what you're doing, and how easy is it for someone to replicate what you're doing.
And it's your skill set, it's your past experience. And then another book that I love is called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Have y'all heard that book before?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
So the premise is if everybody's doing one thing, you want to do something totally different. That's where the opportunity is, right?
Okay.
It's called, so in the red ocean, that's where everybody's eating, but there's blood in the water. But then there's another opportunity, and it can be literally an idea that you find in another market that's not in your market first, and you have first mover advantage. Or it's something that somebody's doing in the market, they're not doing it well, and you have the second mover. You know what I mean? So
I love fusing the two worlds, because just like Motown was created from seeing how the assembly line worked in General Motors, and you know, the music industry.
Sure.
So how can I merge those two worlds?
Right.
And that's where I think the cherry or the opportunities are best found.
Absolutely. And I think there's a school of thought that says, you know, you have to be passionate about what you do, or you have to be, you know, really good at it. There are people that can literally just get into something for the money because they understand operations and how to scale and all that stuff. So I think that those are opportunities that are out there. You know what I'm saying? But if you're passionate about something, it just adds that extra oomph to it, because now you'll do it when you don't feel like it, right?
And it's big that you said that, because it's a few people, and I know y'all watching. It's a few people that just got into our real estate space. And like, in a short amount of time, they scaled because they're not connected to it, because they're not emotional. They're not emotional. It's just like for them, it's like just a business, and they're not connected.
Right.
So I know y'all laughing because I know y'all laughing because I had to say it, but it's almost like I have so much longevity. Like, it's real long sweat, tears, real work that's been put into this. Yeah. For somebody to just come in and be like just scale,
not emotional,
because it's systematic for them. They just came in, put systems in place, and it's running itself.
Yeah. So is that something that you think you could detach yourself from the feelings and just
that's what's been so we in the process of that right now.
Okay.
And that's what's been so hard. It's been so hard. They've been telling me to do it
because it's your baby,
right? So I'm in the
baby,
same
you
boat
want it
that
to
you
be
in. Perfect.
And the other, so it's like DJs who are like pure like music people versus cats that put the MP3s in.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like, when you love it and you love the music and you love the artistry and you love, like, you don't respect the people that do that. But they're profitable and it's easier and they just do it, set up the systems and move on.
And it's not that I don't respect y'all. I do respect y'all.
No, but one of the things that you said earlier is sometimes you have to understand, like, you know what? Maybe it's better that I put somebody else.
Right.
You didn't say this verbatim.
Sure.
But you basically said, like, if you delegate and put somebody else, if that's what they're good at, that's what they specialize. So it's like, you know what? I might not be, even though I know this, I might not be good at it. Or I might not be good at this particular piece to make it do what I want it to do.
Make it do it too big.
Yeah, but in this time, because now, when you started 21 years ago, you were straight door knocking. You know, so you didn't have the internet and all these different tools that are available. But now people are coming in and they're systematizing everything. They're getting the leads. They got all these people in place. They understand. And, you know, it's just like, hey, I'm sitting back and I'm reaping the rewards. So guess what? We go get a youngin and put them in place to come make this money. You know?
Right. And the other thing that I think is super important, it's knowing what your real strengths are, right?
Exactly.
My strength is relationship building.
Yes.
My strength is I love people. My strength is I can hire people and I can be sort of the visionary, but I don't love reports. I don't love, you know, meetings. And I don't love being put in a box. I like to fly free. So the reason we're raising money is to hire a CEO who has scaled a company before.
Exactly.
I'm going to focus on the tech. I'm going to focus on the strategy. I'm going to focus on managing the marketing, the things that I love, and I'm going to let a CEO tell me what to do. You know what I'm saying?
So you opened up a whole nother box for me just now. So 2 questions. First question, have you read Traction by Gino Wickman?
I downloaded it. I haven't read it.
Okay, because what you're saying is verbatim what he talks about. So you're right now at the CEO visionary, the one who connects the cement to the blocks of the house.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing right now. But you just said that you got this baby, and you understand that this is my strong suit. Running the baby is not your strong suit. So you're willing to give up that position to be able to have this baby grow.
To scale.
That takes a different kind of a person to do that, because nobody wants to just give up authority over their baby. So what point did you realize, like, hey, even though this is my idea I'm bringing to the marketplace I'm birthing, I'm not going to be able to carry it to where it can be because of my select skill set?
I can tell you one thing. Take time.
Yeah, right. And the other thing is, a few minutes ago, you talked about low points, right? we'll get to the fish fry, but I did a thing called the fish fry. It started at 20 people. It eventually grew to like the citywide event, but then it failed because I didn't know what I was doing. But I was making decisions that were totally out of my league. I'm trying to hire a team and I'm trying to manage people. I'm terrible at that, and I failed at that. Think about the weekend collection, the other idea I told you about. You know, if I understood how to grow and scale, maybe I could have positioned that business to be purchased by Groupon. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know what I was doing, so I failed, right? So, you know, once you start failing, you start to have this it does take a certain level of thinking to have self-awareness, right? Because you can't have Superman syndrome where you just feel like you can do everything. It's like more ego. I think Warren Buffett, somebody mentioned him. Warren Buffett said something about he would never hire Elon Musk because he has more confidence in himself than he has skill. And what happens is he bets big, he wins big, but when he loses big too, right? He said he wants somebody that's more consistent to be a CEO of a company, right? And I know that I can't be consistent like that because I'm emotionally attached. It's my baby. I'm more of a marketer or people person, whatever. So I have to have that self-awareness to put that person in place. And the other part is, when you've never done something before, like this is out of my league. I built software, but I was in corporate America building for other people. So I'm totally a fish out of water. And I'm seeing the way that other people are being successful. And when people don't have those skills, they take themselves out of the problem. Out of the picture.
So this reminds me of Dan Sullivan, Who Not How, because right now what it sounds like is you have the skill set to do the actual craft,
correct,
but you don't want to, and I'm not saying you choose to not learn the skill business.
Yes.
You want someone else who's already qualified, got the bumps and bruises, to take that and offload it for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. And so just to go to the fish fry, because I think we kind of talked about that a while ago. So I started a fish fry, and this is a story right here, so ride with me. So I started the fish fry, and it eventually grew and turned into an event, and it turned into like a big thing. We had helicopters and news helicopters and police helicopters. We shut down 285, like all this stuff, like, right?
It started with a fish fry, giving out plates.
And then having it, but it was a party.
Yeah.
So we blocked the street off, and it started out with 20 people, then it went to 60, then went to 200, and then we moved it to Cascade, and it turned into like 600, and it just kept growing. This was I think the last one we did was 2011 or 12, but this was in 2009, right?
Wow.
So let me just show how God works and how everything ties together. Okay, I also spent 15 plus years in corporate America building software, right? I left corporate America, ran a digital marketing agency, and I worked with people in radio, TV, actors, whatever. And in doing this, I ended up on the Willie Moore Jr. show, which is the largest syndicated drive time show in the country. This is all serendipitous. I didn't plan all this stuff to happen. So now I'm on the #1 radio show. I had this fish fry in the background or whatever. So I joined this mastermind. The biggest investment I ever made in the mastermind, it was 10 stacks just to be in the mastermind. And I'm in a room with people who were like real business people, right? So I'm telling the story of the fish fry to the people there, and they're just laughing because I'm giving all the details of how it happened, right? And I didn't know that one of the people there was a writer for Hollywood or Netflix or whatever. So, but I'm telling them about my software and whatever. So I get a text message from the guy 4 weeks ago, like, hey, AJ, we want to talk about Blooksy and blah, blah, blah. So that's the name of my software. So we get on the call, and I see all these people I don't know, right? So I'm telling them about the software, and this is where we are, and we're scaling, blah, blah, blah. So they're like, that's amazing, but we want to talk to you about the fish fry. And I'm like, why the hell want to talk about the fish fry? They're like, what if we turn the fish... Well, before I say that, have y'all heard of Jon Favreau?
No.
So Jon Favreau, he's the guy he's a Mandalorian, Iron Man 1, 2, 3, Spider-Man.
Now you're talking about language.
Marvel comic.
I love Marvel because I always say that we're the Avengers.
Right. Elf, like all these different things, right? So, and they're like, we're writers for NBC Universal, and we're interested in turning the story of the fish fry into a movie.
What?
They sent me a contract for the first rights of refusal last week to use my software for NBC to write the story of the fish fry into a movie.
Got the drink.
We need drinks and cheer. Wait, we have a special chef in the building. He's concocted like an amazing drink. What's
It's the Sorority. Is this what this is?
Sorority.
Soraya Punch.
Soraya Punch.
Hey man, shout out to Chef Marty, man.
Hey, Chef Marty, he came through with an amazing meal,
Yes,
topped it
sir.
off with some great tea.
Thank you, sir.
And we got to toast it up to that. That's big news. Yeah, get fresh cups. New opportunity, new cups.
New opportunity.
This one's actually
How
spiked.
can they find you on Instagram?
So you can find me on Instagram, Chef 2_ Marty. So CHEF 2_ MARTY. And yeah, so this is called the Soraya Punch, and it's actually a mix of lemonade, lemon lime, and iced tea, and a couple other things I can't tell you.
Little rum punch.
Yes, I like a rum punch.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Thank you, Marty.
toast. Cheers.
Toast to Marty.
Yes.
Cheers. Enjoy.
Yes. And cheers to you too. I mean, that is huge.
Ain't that crazy?
Oh my God.
But again,
now I can join in.
I think it's more about being in the game, staying in the game, and trying to serve people at a high level.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's not necessarily being lucky, but putting yourself in rooms with people that you're not
You
necessarily.
gotta position yourself.
It's positioning.
Yes.
Because I'm in the room and there was a high bar to cross to be in that room, but they sent me this contract for this movie and they want to option it in February. So between now and they're working on the script already, we're having weekly meetings. They're asking me all the details.
Wow.
Like they're literally
That's
turning that
dope.
into
That's
a
dope.
movie, right?
Congratulations.
But, and they're using the software to do it, and they're gonna open up the movie with me as the character, telling the story using the software to promote the software.
That's
Wow.
crazy. That's big. That's
Wait,
big.
so
And that's
I-
God, though. I mean, it's serendipity, but it's hard work, but it's
but-
God.
but let me
It's
say
like the
something.
magic happens after you do the work.
I want to say something to what you just did, though. Do you notice what you did, how you got this script? You invested in yourself.
Oh,
You went and paid what not everybody going to do. You
Yeah.
paid
Oh, yeah.
$10,000
Yeah.
Viewers, and you went and sat down in a room full of people that you couldn't connect with on
Otherwise.
a daily basis, like a
I'm
regular
gonna tell you something
everyday
else you
basis.
did too. You just said something a minute ago. I don't know if you realized what you said, but he said that he realized that when Groupon came and bought him out, that he realized that he didn't go to Groupon to try to sell his idea,
Right.
right? Other people that would have just crushed him and be like, you know what? Forget this. I'm just about to go get a job. This isn't for me. You
Right,
know, but
right,
let it
right.
beat you up and then just put that fear in you and
Right.
halt you from continuing to be where you are today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But so that was a lesson learned. But now you're able to apply what you didn't take advantage of at that time, and now you see the
How
really
it all
just
pays
everything
off.
The
pays
seed
off.
was planted.
And again,
That's
it's
Yeah, it
sort
is.
of like it just rolls up, right? The longer you're in the game, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you understand how to position yourself. The more you understand how to position yourself, the more opportunities open up, and it just cycles.
So how does it
Right.
feel as you get closer to this moment? Like as February nears, like how are you feeling inside?
It's unreal because it's literally what I didn't plan for. Because a year ago, none of this existed. Like I thought of the idea. Speaking of lows, I launched a publishing company before I did the software.
Hold on. During the low?
During the pandemic, when the pandemic started,
It's
I
a
couldn't
low.
do workshops. During the low, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like you said, so during the low, I launched a publishing company because I couldn't do the workshops anymore. They were like, "Can we just pay you?" I was like, "Yeah." Hated it from the first author. Hated it. Too many different moving pieces and parts. So I built the software to streamline the publishing process because of the pandemic. And because I built the software, now I can go into this room of other people who have built software and other people who are writers. And because I'm in that room now, I'm telling the story of the fish fry that happened a long time ago. And now they're taking that and using my software and writing a story for Hollywood. That's what I'm saying. It all goes together.
Well, wait,
It's
wait.
just like
I was at one of the fish fries. Am I gonna be in the movie?
but that's what I'm saying. And the other part is, again, it's putting yourself, it's investing in yourself. And I think one of the things, and I can't speak for other cultures, but what I've seen in our culture is we want to, and we'll invest, but it's like, I gotta see
You gotta see it.
But if you find a worthy investment or a person who's been there and done that, spend the money.
Yep.
Right?
Say it again.
Because,
Hold on.
yeah, spend
Look
the
into
money.
the camera.
Like
and say
spend
that
the
one more
money
time.
because you can either you can spin your wheels or you can spend the money. And spending the wheels is gonna take forever.
And it costs
right?
you even more money
and,
sometimes.
And it costs you more money. And that investment, and as a matter of fact, that was my second time attending that event. I attended it 4 years ago or 3 years ago, right? This is the second one. And again, it's not like I'm balling out of control or whatever, but I was like, you know what, this is an investment. It's putting me in the room with these people. You know what I'm saying? So we have to get over that mentality of trying to figure, I could just go on YouTube and figure it out.
Right. It's about a safety net, because we would easily justify spending. I was reading something about the dorm rooms at a particular HBCU that are unlivable conditions, but people pay it time after time, and it's like you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars that aren't even warranted, and they pay it easily just for the name of what that particular school is. When I'm just like, what about going the unconventional route? We had an episode, we talked about, how we all had a different approach to education.
Yes.
And, not to say to X college out, because there is a need for it.
Right.
But it's just like we would so easily trust that college with our life, and it may not even get us a job that can pay off the loan.
And then you program for it. So a lot of people are programmed with your upbringing. Most people, you didn't go to college because you wanted to go to college. Your parents like, you going to college.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the next thing that you're supposed to do.
Right. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Right.
And the other part I think it is, it's hard to detach yourself from the learned behaviors, right? You're expected to go to college and do that, but they're teaching you based off the process that they follow. Mm-hmm. It's hard to break out of that and create your own thing.
It is.
But that's where the goal.
Like, that's where the
opportunities are. That's the blue ocean, right? Because now, again, I have nephews that just graduated. One of them, he was dead set on going into the military. The other one, he wants to be a chemist. So my sister's like, we need to find these chemistry programs. I told him, look, you're in Austin, Texas. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to find companies that already do that, and I'm going to contact them and talk on your behalf to get you to follow them around for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, so that you can see what they do day to day. Right? Because you might, how many people went and got a degree and they never used it once? And now, I don't even want to call names, but I know people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars of college debt, and they never used that degree. Ever.
Absolutely.
Right?
So one thing I want to ask, because you said something earlier where you don't see a lot of us applying and going out to get this money and capital. But at the same front, there's not a lack of people trying to get money for their idea of business.
Yes.
So what would you say separates you, or what can you do to separate yourself from the millions of people who have a great idea but aren't able to convert that into investors investing in the business?
So again, the biggest part is showing the potential ROI. And that you understand the market, and that there's a big enough market opportunity. Not based on how you feel about it, right? Or not based on there are 10,000 black women and this is made for black women, so you should invest in it. Have you done the research to understand what percentage of that market they are buying? Right. What are other companies that have failed? Why did they fail?
Feasibility study.
Feasibility. It's and a lot of this part of it you can learn on YouTube, right? When I did my 2 pitches that I won at 2 different competitions, I looked at all the winning pitches and I took notes and deconstructed what was in their pitch. And then you can do things like download the top pitch competition decks, right? So you take this learning from YouTube and then you look opening liners. I went to all the TED Talks and what are the opening liners on TED? What are people opening with to grab people's attention from the beginning? And you start to put all that together to create what you want. You know what I'm saying? So it's about the idea, the feasibility, understanding the market research, the potential, for that market, the return on investment, et cetera, your skill sets that you can apply to whatever that thing is. But then it's that's the science, right? But the art, it's the storytelling. It's, when you're on camera, are you someone that they can connect to? You can even tell stories while you're doing your pitch, right? I opened my pitch up with, how many people do you know want to write a book? And literally 3 of the investors out of the 5 wanted to write books. So I knew I had a hook. And then I did research on the other people pitching. And I found one of the guys who was pitching. And in his bio, he said, I want to write a book. And I was like, not only do y'all want to write a book, but this guy who's pitching, he wants to write a book. And they were like, whoa. So, you know what I'm saying? And then dude was like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? But what is that thing? No, I won.
So someone won. Okay.
Right, yeah.
He's like, I won. Yeah, it was me.
Sometimes it'll be like top 10.
No, this was like winner takes all. Yeah. But the point is, it's doing the research, but then do you have the skills to not necessarily run it, but can you grow it to a point or even understand yourself enough to say, I'm not the person, and I already told him, I'm not the CEO. I want to be the CTO. I want to do the marketing, blah, 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 so I can hire those people. But it's having that wherewithal and communicating it to the investors.
So did you have because you obviously are holding yourself pretty well talking to us right now, but
Sure.
Did you have the gift, the gap, and communication skills prior to learning how to raise the money and selling people on your idea, or did you go to education class and stuff to better yourself, then try to raise the money?
So a lot of it in the beginning, being from the country, you just kind of do stuff. I mean, at least where I'm from, and being in the church, and our grandmother used to make us get up and recite, use the plays and all that. So we had that sort of built in. But then it's understanding that they're human, and what are the connection points that you can make, right? So I'm looking at my investors. There's one brother on there and 4 white guys, and I'm researching.
Oh, you know who they are before you come and pitch to them.
Yeah, well, it's
You
on
do your
that
research.
particular competition.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so you know, the judges, or the firms that they come from.
Okay, gotcha.
So if it's put on by these 3 firms, you just research all the firms so that you can build communication points into your deck. So you can say things that's familiar to them. And I think the advantage that I had, I know the advantage that I had is most of the other people had just pitches that they do over and over and over. I customize to whatever audience that I'm with.
That extra touch.
Right? So when I'm talking about writing a book, I'm like, oh, you want to write a book too? You just said it in your bio. And it's just an unexpected thing, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big part.
One of the things that we used to train people on in corporate when you had to actually cold call and build relationships is the 3 R's. So what you were able to do, you were able to read who you had to present to. Then you put yourself in the position to relate to those individuals. And then when you actually got up to present, you were able to present in a relaxed format.
Yeah.
So it was read, relate, and relax.
And then the other part is it wasn't so canned, and it wasn't like I was reading from a script. Right?
And that's where the relaxed part comes in, because now it's natural.
Right. It was natural, and it was conversational, right?
Because you're
so
confident.
I knew my points, but it wasn't scripted.
You're confident in your preparation.
Correct.
So that's
and I
the
knew the
thing.
market. And the other part is I had demonstrated market experience. So in other words, I've helped over 200 people publish before I even started the publishing company through coaching.
Wow.
Right? So I've already coached 200 people, and then I'm on the
so it's
radio
easy for
every
you.
week,
Yeah, it was
and
easy for
the show reaches millions of people every Monday, right? And I have my marketing segment, so I'm giving little jewels on there, so they're like, okay, he knows the right people, he's connected, and then I'm leveraging relationships. So again, this is another thing. I get involved in politics, I invest in campaigns, I know people, I can get into rooms because I invest in people too.
Yeah.
Right? And when you do that, you can call people now.
Yeah.
Right? It opens doors.
Yeah.
So.
Because it was one thing, 2 things. One, a lot of your story and what you're talking about reminds me of my favorite book, The Alchemist. And I always talk about it, because I remember meeting you and admiring you because you were a serial entrepreneur, which is one thing I felt like I was always, doing something different every time. And at a point, and I don't think we were talking as much then,
Sure.
but there was a point where I felt like I was all over the place. And I was like, what do I do? Only to realize that once I got a little further in the journey, because I'm not even going to say arrived, but once I got a little further in the journey, everything parlayed. It's my friend, he always tells me practice is a privilege. And, what we do when we're younger, we may not have time to go learn a new skill set now.
Yes.
But all of that practice that you put in, the influence that you built, the storytelling, being from, like you said, being put on the front stage, front and center, here's a mic here, your face, and now you're able to
say that Easter Sunday speech.
I know,
Right.
but how that parlays to pitching
and
to
to
venture
things
capital.
now.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And it's and as you start to have children, you want to invest in that. Like my daughter she just turned 10 2 weeks ago. We have her in acting class, and it's not because I want her to be an actor. I want her to be comfortable in front of strangers, right? Because I want her to be a fast friend. I want her to learn very quickly. You know what I mean? So we have to not only do that ourselves, but invest in doing that now that we know. And I think when we start to compare ourselves to our parents and things like that, they did the best that they could, but as you learn more, you do more and you do better, right? So it should be building on what they, like my grandmother, she's like, leave here, like go out into the world and do your thing. So I have to build on what she gave us from putting us on stages in church and reciting the 23rd Psalm, you know what I'm saying? The Lord is my shepherd.
So I know you said there was a certain number you had in your head at the time you wanted to sell the company.
Sure.
And let's just say whatever the new number is now, it happened, it got reached. what would you do then? Do you have another baby that you want to bring to the marketplace?
Yeah. I have so
You
many
got
ideas
several.
written down.
Yeah.
So let me
His
just share. Let me share
serial
one idea.
Oh, hold on. Share it
Yeah.
right now?
No, yeah. I'm not a hoarder of ideas. I think that you
You've
put
got
them
so
out.
many, yeah.
If you put them out, like you could bless somebody else, and they could do the next thing. So y'all tell me if this is stupid. I'm just gonna real quick. That's cool. Like this. So one of the things I've thought about is, and this is just everyday, sort of the way I think about stuff. So I was going into Publix to get some kombucha, right? And I already know where it is or whatever. But one of the things when I go to the grocery store, my wife is like, "Oh, get this and get that." I never know where stuff is, and I'm like, "Damn, where's this?" What if when you walked in the store, you could automatically connect to the Bluetooth, and it came on like you could just, it says connect to Publix, and it comes up like a GPS, and it shows you as you walk by the aisles.
Talk about idea.
Right.
So my husband actually has been working on an idea called Parlayed, and it does
Really?
something very similar to that.
Right.
Where you come in, the technologies, they would pick
And
you
it
up and give
picks
you
it
a
up.
roadmap.
Gives you a
to
roadmap
where
to
everything
whatever.
is.
So it's like navigation.
Or one of the things that we have, we have it's hacking, right? It's what are the things that we do and how else can it be applied in your life? You know what I'm saying? Like if we're sitting here doing a mastermind, why can't we create or you do real estate, right? Why there is a way to create like a real bona fide real estate school that you can start kids out on. Like teaching them about literally kids, right? And so by the time they're 8 or 9, they know the language, even if they're not going to do it. But it's like a real life track curriculum to get them to that, because once you get money, it opens up other opportunities, right? And there are so many ideas that are out there. But anyway.
So I'm curious because I always want to know people before they got to where they're, in their journey.
Sure.
What was you younger? Was you like super creative and you had, or your parents like super, well, you said you had church background, so I imagine there was some structure. But what was it like younger growing up?
So I played the drums by ear. I threw parties. We were poor, right? So because we were poor, we had to be creative. My grandmother cleaned houses. She was a janitor. She cleaned houses. And we didn't know, we were just poor. So she used to bring us clothes home. And me and my brother would put the cool outfits together until one day the dude was like, "Yo, those are my pants."
Because it's a small town. So
Like you go to get a whooping. Wait.
Right, but they had gave my grandmother clothes. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't know. But again, like not having caused us to be creative. Like we didn't have a basketball goal, so we didn't have a basketball goal, so we put a bucket on the tree, right? And the basketball could barely fit through. Like you couldn't hit the rim. You had to shoot into the bucket.
A crate or a bucket?
No, a bucket.
Oh, okay.
So not even a crate.
Not even a crate. And we had a piece of wood for the backboard. So when we got to the regular basketball goal, we could shoot from everywhere.
Right.
We're like, this big as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we couldn't miss. But we always had that creativity. And I draw, I paint, I write. So I was writing, and I created like the high school T-shirts, and I drew pictures of the yearbooks, and I did like I was the creative person. But then my grandmother was super strict, so we used to get whoopings if we got C's, like on our report card. You know what I'm saying? So we had to get A's and B's because my grandmother, her thing was like, education is your way out, because she wasn't able to get it because she had to drop out to take care of her sibling when her mother died, right? So, but she knew all my uncles went to Southern, I went to Southern, her siblings went to Southern, so Southern University was a way of life. It was a way out. You know what I'm saying?
My daddy and them, they all went to Southern or
Yeah, right. So
it wasn't a lack of resources. It was resourcefulness.
It was resourcefulness, right? And one of the things that I did early, and I look back and it was sort of strategic. I volunteered in the Bill Campbell campaign. He's the previous mayor of one of the mayors of Atlanta. And when I did that, I met so many people. And from 20 years ago, I still have those relationships today.
Wow.
And now these people are elders, you know what I'm saying? Munson Steed, they're rolling out. Like all these people, I met them way back then. And I still can call those people. They trust me. They know me. So it's strategically building relationships. But it's just being a good person.
Right.
It's about caring about the people that you're serving, right? So, and the other part is, when I built Blooksy, it wasn't about me building software to make money. It was about me building software to solve a problem that could help a lot of people versus doing a publishing company that could only help 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 people at a time. 1 million people can log into Blooksy right now and start doing their book, and they don't even have to know AJ at all.
Wow.
Right? So it's scalable. And that's the other thing. Software scales. I wish I could see more brothers in the software space. You know, apps are... Let me just do this little quick sidebar. I always have people like, hey, I want to build an app that does this, right? But if you have an app that's not a utility and it's not solving a real problem that people have every day, people don't open them after a while.
Right.
Nike struggles with the Nike Plus app because people did it at first, but then they just don't. Even the Fitbit app, you don't do it. You charge your phone up, you look at it. I mean, you charge your Fitbit up or whatever. Apple Watch, like, people don't use the apps only if you'll use Uber because Uber helps you get where you need to go.
Right.
Facebook helps you connect with your friends, right? So if you can build software as a service that really solves a problem, that's a bigger space, especially because it's recurring revenue.
Why don't you think more people get into the software development space?
Knowledge, I would say.
Too
that.
complex,
I mean,
or like
it's a language.
And I think the other part is seeing the market opportunity that's unique enough, right? But the other part is access too, right? And there's definitely, as it relates to scale, because I think that a lot of people that don't look like us aren't there because we're not fostered into that, right? Like, there are people that understand how to code and write code and understand that, but it's more, I learned to code so that I can go work at Instagram or Google.
Are you seeing more younger people? Because I think, like the new generation coming up,
Yes,
like they're
absolutely.
so in tune with technology.
Absolutely.
So you're seeing more younger people.
Absolutely. And I'm 48, you know what I'm saying? So, I've spent my time in corporate America and now I can kind of see the landscape differently, but I would definitely encourage us to get into the software development space because it's easy. Like, you talk about 5X or whatever, when you build software as a service, it's 20X. That's what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, look, I have 100 users. I'm still in beta, 120 some users paying $20 a month. So it's not a lot of revenue there. But at that number, they're looking at the technology that I've built. They're looking at the understanding. They're like, okay, we'll give you this and we'll pay you another $1 million to stay on for a year to help roll it out, right? Because they can scale software to 100 million people. Like lots of people want to write books. 8 out of every 10 Americans want to. I can't scale it to that size, right? But if I get a percentage of that, that's what they're looking at. What if you could just get 2 more percentage points of the market and you have a $100 million business?
So, 2 questions for you. First question is, since you are elected to be the CTO of the company, not the CEO of the company, are you giving up like equity and ownership to work
That's what I was gonna ask,
in your own baby?
Yes.
Or are you still maintaining all of it, or are you maintaining a certain amount?
So right now, based on, I have an advisory board. I've given them a percentage. I have a relationship in the works. So I'm going to give up 2% to that gentleman because he can open doors that I can never open on my own, right? And again, I don't want to get caught up in the equity mindset because I can own 100% of nothing that never grows past 20,000 users or whatever, right? So right now, because I don't have the cash, we are doing a raise to hire those other people, but they're going to get smaller salaries and equity because the goal is to go public with this, right? So,
No, that's fine. And second question, who's a entrepreneur or investor that you are looking up to and trying to model what you're doing right now? Because, I mean, unless you're doing this solo dolo off scratch, is there somebody you're trying to model? Emulate.
Canva.
Okay.
Because Canva is
Canva's
literally
dope.
the same thing that I'm doing, but theirs just graphic design.
Right.
Okay.
So mine is, so with our software, you can not only do books, but you can do a dissertation, you can do a thesis, any document that's templatized, we can recreate that. The advantage that we have is now it's collaborative, right? When I met with Clark Atlanta and when I met with Dillard University and when I met with UGA, people work on their dissertations, but they're using Microsoft Word, right? And here's what happens. They put it on Dropbox or they put it on Google Drive and they email each other like, okay, your turn, and then they all go into the document. With mine, you just share access to it, similar to Google Drive, but now everybody can log in at once. You can chat with each other. We're building video chat so you can see your people inside of there. You can see who's changing what real time. Again, you have a management console so that the university can look and see, these are all the people working on dissertations. You can see who's assigned to which one. You can see how far they are along in the process. Like, it's all cloud-based. It's on your phone. It's on your iPad. It's all there all the time. Right?
So is this like design art?
Oh yeah, design art. It's similar to that, but designer is strictly for, as far as I remember, strictly for authors, I think, or ebooks. Is it ebooks? It's mostly ebooks. So it's similar to that, but it's cloud-based and it's collaborative.
Okay.
Right. So that's the other huge advantage. nothing else is collaborative except Google Docs, but they don't do the,
In this
templates
way.
well, right? So when you log into my software, it literally looks like a book. You can see your entire table of contents. You literally one button click, add a new chapter. Click on the microphone, start talking, it records right into the chapter. You have ideas that you don't want to, you can literally type into the notes section, and all your notes are there for the next
person. Be responsible for all my digital ebooks.
Right, and the other thing, and this is again being around people that have scale in mind. One of the gentlemen, and he blew my mind when he said this. As soon as I logged in and showed him, he said, "Look, we need to get this into the Department of Education because now you have class, you have a teacher who creates a syllabus and she shares it with the entire classroom. Now parents and children can log in and communicate real time inside the asset. To if they have questions, they just leave them in there. Now the teacher can just log in. So it turns into very similar to an LMS, but that asset can be created on a syllabus. It can be assignments. Like there are so many different things that you can do with it. So many use cases.
Because I
didn't think about that.
I was going to ask, is it licensable or
for
will you create
education?
white label where they can put their own segment on it, and that's even more because that's really the API platform is really how Amazon grew from having where you can come on my platform. And
I'm so glad you said that because one of the things that we talked about with the universities was putting a scan on it.
Yeah.
So now
a white label.
Morehouse owns it. It's Morehouse's logo, and they can see all the grants that they're working on, right? So they log into the grant module, and they're like, oh, these are the 30 grants that we have in progress, right? These are the 7 people working on this grant. They're 80% done. And now every university has their own version, but it's powered by us, but it doesn't have us anywhere on there except they're paying us every month.
And they're licensing
And they're licensing it. And the thing that I like about education is that you can do a 5-year contract or a 10-year contract. And if I'm selling 500, 1,000 licenses, now I can sell those at, I don't know, $100 a user, $100 per user per month for the campus. So now I'm doing a $30,000 contract with UGA, right, and or more, right?
Yeah.
But now I go to the University System of Georgia, and we get all the universities at once, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's thinking about scalability. So I'm trying to do this, and then I want to teach other people that look like me how to do this, right? And again, we typically don't have the resources. I want people to know how to pitch. I want to invest in other people that have ideas, even in ideas that don't scale, because I think that if we spend money with each other, you know what I'm saying, and support each other and pay the price, like not ask for the discount, pay what it's worth, you know what I mean? I think that's very important, and I think there's an opportunity because there's a new generation of us who are starting to think like y'all,
Absolutely.
right? The environment that you guys have created right now, this is the future of Black entrepreneurship. Atlanta, me being from a small town from Louisiana, this doesn't happen in Louisiana at all, literally at all, right? When I go home, they're like, oh, you fancy, now you're in that. Like, no, bruh, I can show you how to do this too. You know what I mean? So I think that's the future of the culture, and we hold the key.
So 2 questions. So, because this is an amazing idea that you got, how do you protect it? How do you make sure it doesn't get copied, stolen?
Copyright. So as far as stealing, it's not as easy to do that in software unless it's a big company. And the other thing that I've learned just by being in this game is that they would rather come to you because you've already done it and just try to buy you. Like I told y'all about the $2.4 million offer. I mean, 2.4. I've been somebody offered $300,000 when I literally just had a PowerPoint for the IP. Right? And
IP stands for?
The intellectual property. Then I got offered a little bit over $500,000 when I was still doing wireframes before I had any users. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that they're offering me this right now and I haven't even got out the gates good. Think about 3 years or 5 years or whatever, right? So now it's really a business that can scale. And I'm thinking legacy. And the most beautiful part about this is that the night that I decided to do it was because I failed horribly at one of my friend's books. And it was just so many things that went wrong. I caught COVID. My editors caught COVID. Like all these things just kept happening over and over. So her book got delayed, right? Because it's, you're managing humans. And that night, she texted me. She was like, this has been the worst experience ever. And I was hurt because this was a friend of mine. As a matter of fact, she texted me tonight while I was sitting over there. But we're still cool. But that night, I said, there has to be software to do this. So I started looking for software, and I saw Scrivener, and I saw these other software tools that are out there, but none of them did the end-to-end, right? And the reason is because when you're in an industry, like you said earlier, it's hard to see it in any other way than the way that you learned it, right? Because I'm not from the publishing industry, I thought, number one, how can I go end-to-end, and how can I build something that can scale? So can it be more than just a book? I was asking questions of myself that other people who were just authors would never think to ask themselves, because I'm software, entrepreneur, et cetera, first before I was an author, right? Being an author gave me an advantage, and being a publisher gave me an advantage so I could understand the process. But I was thinking from the beginning, when I built software at the CDC, we built it to scale across the entire organization, right? So I'm like, okay, there's more than just books. What if I simply focused on cookbooks, books, and journals? Those are 3 totally different markets. I could go to Le Cordon Bleu, and I could have a contract with all the culinary art school so that all the chefs create a cookbook before they graduate. It would put a feather in the hat of the schools, because now they're graduating all these published authors. It would put a feather in the hat of the chefs, because now they're a published author,
already.
Right? So now it's a part of the curriculum. Right? And if I only did that market, that's 40, 50,000 users yearly.
So question, so with your app, can you actually publish a physical copy as well as the audiobook? So
yes.
What are all the options that are available?
So audiobook, not yet.
Okay.
Right? But I have a colleague, a brother here who owns the second largest audio publishing book company in the southeast, or in the east coast, on the East Coast. We're just going to build APIs for it, right? As far as distribution, a gentleman on my board, he exited his company in 2017. It's the second largest book distribution company in the world, and the first in the UK for ebook distribution. That's Kindle, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. He's on my board, right? My other board, she took her company from $3 million to $70 million. She's on the board. So I'm surrounding myself with people who have done it before. Because I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the domain, but I've never scaled nothing to that point, right? But I want to build a tool that can, and we're talking to attorneys because they have these templates, and they're like, oh, what if people just log in and get their template and they can sign it and do whatever, and it's all in the portal? And I'm like, why not? It's just another use case. But number one, we can't do them all at once.
Yeah,
I can't do them all myself.
How do you phase it out?
So here's what we did, and I just hired a business analyst last week. Here's how we're doing it. We're focusing on, right now we have nonfiction people are using. As a matter of fact, we had our first published author do her, what do you call the videos where you open, unveiling, like they do on YouTube when they, she just got hers today. First published author using the tool. So we're focusing on nonfiction.
Like a review.
Yes, she got her book, her physical book. She got it today. So we're focusing on nonfiction and fiction first, but it's end to end. It's, we're connecting through the distribution partners. It's going to publish to Amazon. It's going to publish to the ebook distributors, and it will publish to physical books as well. We're going through the entire use case first, and then we're going to start scaling the other use cases.
So it sounds like this strategy leans more towards like being an Apple versus a Walmart.
It is a, it's really like Canva, because now if you think about what you can do in Canva, initially you could just do your design stuff, right? But now you can design, you can print, you can get, t-shirts made. You can.
So you're starting off as an Apple to become a Walmart.
Correct, exactly. We're starting out as a product that does a single thing, but then we're scaling to other products.
As supplementary things. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Right. So.
Let me ask this question. This is one of the biggest questions for me always, especially for us as entrepreneurs. What is your why?
Okay.
So that keeps you dry.
So every year until the pandemic happened, we have a family reunion. My grandmother, thank God, she's still alive, right? Okay. And every year she talks about herself growing up, not having any shoes to wear to school. She worked for an actual Klansman. Right, as a worker, and they were like, you can stay in the yard, you can't come in the house as long as you're in the yard, you're protected. Like, she has all these rich historical stories that will never be told. How many of our families have those stories that die with our elders? Right. What if we could just record them talking and upload it to the app, and it transfers
used
it.
to talk about that. My dad actually used to talk
Right.
about that.
And see, and the other thing, this is what I didn't say. We're building the ability to upload video. So if you're a YouTuber and you have 100 videos and you want to turn those videos into a book,
you just upload the video.
Bam.
Damn.
And you can hire an editor inside the tool and an illustrator inside
Yeah,
the tool.
you don't got stock yet?
Right. So it's literally a one-stop shop, right?
Right.
So again, I think that everybody should have an opportunity to tell their story. That's the why.
That's the why. Everybody should have.
Everybody should have the opportunity
That
to
should
tell
be
their
the
story.
tag.
And
That should
traditionally,
be the tag.
yeah,
Right?
traditionally in publishing, you got to get a publisher.
Yeah.
You got to figure out, how do I upload to Amazon? How do I do this? Like, we're doing everything. You just go in and put your information in and write your book. I don't care if it has 1,000 typos in it. We got an editor for you right there.
So for the viewers,
I'm
wants to write the book now.
Yep. So if you want to write a book, here's what you do. Go to it's one.blooksy.com. You can sign up for a $1 trial, right? When you log in,
How do you
it
spell
has
Blooksy?
Blooksy. Good question.
See, because I was going to do BLIX.
It's called Blooksy. Blooksy.
Okay.
Or you can just go to joinblooksy.com. JOIN Blooksy BLOOKSY.com.
Okay.
Sign up. When you log in, you'll see it's super self-explanatory. You'll see Create Book. You literally click on Create Book. It's going to show you all the templates. Right now, we only have nonfiction. Fiction will be out in 11 days, I think. You go in, when you log in, it's going to ask you, what's the name of your book? If you don't know it, you just type, this is my book, whatever you want to call it. Once you type that, you click create, it's going to create. It'll show you, this is the front matter. It has a template. Your copyright is already done, right? So you don't have to pay an attorney for that. It's there. You just change the name. You put your name in, you put your publishing date, you put all the stuff that you want. You don't have to pay an attorney for that. We have it there.
Wow.
In the next version, we're rolling out the sizing, so you don't have to pay for typesetting. That saves you between $300 and $900 because we're building the templates right there in the software, right?
That's
the sizing, right? So you'll see it on the side. You'll see notes, and if you want to talk, you click on the microphone. It's going to say, do you want us to allow your browser to record? You click allow, and you start talking.
So what it sounds like to me is, we talked about this in an earlier episode, yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm just hearing all these features coming out. I'm like,
right. And here's the other thing, man. So there's definitely the mindset stuff that I'm still growing through as an entrepreneur. Because I grew up poor, I tend to try to make things affordable to everybody.
That's the hardest.
But you helped me with that one. I think I was.
That's the hardest.
I had somebody who asked me, like, they were like, "We want to take your course, but I don't have the money right now." And my heart was like,
"I'll give it to you.
Don't worry about it." And I talked to him, and he was like, "You should have asked them what part of my class do you not want to learn."
What part? Because if someone asks for a discount, I love. Because I do some coaching stuff.
Sure.
When you ask for a discount, I'm like, okay, so what do you want me to take out?
And they be like, and I'm like, I should have had that because they want the full thing for a fraction of the price. And one of the things because the way we got into real estate is that we had a program. I don't know how much you paid, but I paid $20,000 for the program.
Sure.
Did you get the discount? Because I was like, I know you say no. I know you say no.
I negotiate everything. Yeah. Everything's negotiable to me. So if you ever, I promise you, if you guys know me offline,
you ain't giving no discounts, but you ain't negotiating.
No. See, that's just the businessman in me.
No, that's nothing wrong there.
Anything and everything. If you know me offline, if you come to me, I would never pay the first number. Yeah. I will never pay the first. I will make sure that I get at least 20% below your first number.
Sure. Well, I wish you would have told me your strategy. But
so basically,
you would have got
I mean, that's how I gotta talk to people.
That's what he used to. I gotta talk to my team. I gotta talk to my team.
So I wound up paying the $20,000 for the education, and a lot of times I get asked, was it worth it? Now, mind you, I didn't have $20,000. Sure. They told us strategies to help us get the access to the money. Yep. But one of the things that I think about, if they would have discounted, because now to get into real estate, it's like, oh my God, you need, a project go over, something's gonna happen, and I need to go get access to more capital.
Yes.
But because I did it then, I'm now cool. That's how you go get more capital. This is a strategy. So it's like, if they would have discounted it, or if I would have paid next to nothing, then I would have built that skill, which I did not have $20,000 to spend. But I learned how to go get it. And so it's like, now I realize what do I get to keep you from?
Yeah.
If you say you really want to do this and you can't even pay $5,000,
Right.
or $6,000, $600, you can't even pay. And what are you not going to learn once you get into this field and you need more money?
And that's the hardest thing for me. Like growing up poor is I want to make it accessible. Right?
It is.
I had the privilege of talking to Seth Godin, who's literally
the
Michael Jordan of marketing, and he reached out to me.
Ooh, that's
right.
Lord.
So when we had our Zoom call a month and a half ago, he said, "AJ, this should be $100 a month. Anybody that doesn't pay it is not your customer." Because he's like, "Look, I'm charging $20 in beta." He said you could get one customer a day and make $3,000 a month or whatever the number is. Right?
Hold on. $100 a month for what?
For the software.
Is it?
Right now I have it at 20.
That's why I said yesterday's price.
Right.
It's not gonna be today's price.
Right,
I already know.
But Seth Godin said, listen,
Blooksy.
When he saw it, just join Blooksy, JYN.
Join Blooksy.
Yeah. What Seth Godin said is join Blooksy.
And what part do you not want?
Right.
No one at all.
But what Seth said is, he said you're literally turning the the publishing industry on its head. And we have just struggled with the pain for all these years because we never thought about it differently, and you're thinking about it differently, right? But again, in my growth is I'm thinking, okay, a lot of people ain't gonna pay $100 a month.
Oh.
What if people don't pay? And, you know what I'm saying?
But
it's a growth area. You know what I'm
don't
saying?
cheapen your brand because you're not giving them the opportunity to step up. Because just as soon as you discount your price, they'll go over there and pay somebody $1,000, and now you teach them
for a purse
half of that.
or for whatever.
Premium prices get premium people.
That's
to your
true.
guns.
And that's what he said ultimately.
He said,
right? He said something very similar. Yeah. But again, I think that by helping people tell their story and making it more affordable, I can reach the masses.
Yeah.
And because we're still in beta too, right? So we haven't rolled out all the functionality, but as we roll out more functionality, the price goes up.
You probably just have tier packaging, like this year you get $29.99, this one you get $100.
Correct.
But I know I think it's getting to our time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We are at my favorite part of the of our session.
Okay.
It's called I Ain't Gonna Lie.
I
ain't gonna lie. So you just pick a question.
Okay.
And you just I ain't gonna lie.
Okay. There we go.
And you pass it down.
You took one, Jay?
Yes, I got one. What start you want?
Does real estate investing and entrepreneurship look the same? I ain't even gonna lie. It does. It does because, and the reason I say that is because no matter who we interview, from publishing, and tech background. To people that are in crypto, to the chef, whatever industry you may be in, it's about the mindset, the drive, what you do day in and day out. That's applicable to entrepreneurship, period. So no matter what industry that you're in, we apply a lot of the same practices to reach our goals. So
I'm gonna choose another one because this was based off another episode. So
let me see.
Right.
Yeah.
True. She's gonna
check you out.
I ain't gonna lie.
You're right.
So let me go with this one. Okay. I ain't gonna lie. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I'm glad I did that.
I ain't gonna lie. My go-to karaoke song is honestly CeeLo Green. Crazy.
Really?
Yes. I really like that one. I like the
we have to go do karaoke.
Right, we gotta do karaoke with you and Joe.
Oh yeah. Oh, Joe tear it down.
I know. We already know. We had a pre. We seen it. Karaoke. We did do karaoke at 656.
He did karaoke.
Well, yeah, he did.
He did a concert. He did a concert.
Right. Word. Okay, so my turn. Do I go with the question first and then the answer, or do I?
Go with the question and then I ain't gonna lie.
Okay. Do you walk your talk? I ain't gonna lie. I walk it like I talk it.
Hey.
Oh man, what is something you're hard on yourself about? Man, I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm hard on myself about anything that I do in business. It gotta be perfect. Which hurts some of my business, like things I want to do, like courses and books, and it makes it hard for me to do. But we working on it.
Do you lose to competitors or beat yourself? So I ain't gonna lie. So first off, I don't have competition. That's just like
Young Bucks Nation.
I just view everything as abundance is enough for everybody. So I'm never in like I gotta get the last of it. And then on top of that, I'm obviously a big proponent of collaboration over competition. So it will always be I probably just beat myself if I had to choose one of the two.
Interesting. I mean, this has been an interesting conversation, and I just love, for one, seeing the evolution. Like I said, the Alchemist, how everything all circles back and leads to this opportunity now, and it's like the biggest one yet. Like all of the failures compounded into the now success.
Them seeds was planted.
It's crazy.
Them seeds was planted.
It can happen. It can happen like that. You know what I'm saying? So this is 10 years since I've known you from 100 Urban Entrepreneurs. But I started all this in '97.
But you planted so many seeds.
But I planted
and
seeds.
you put
I had small wins and
you put yourself in rooms of different individuals by investing in yourself. Like that's so key.
It's key.
People are afraid to invest in themselves and then wonder why the person sitting next to you scared.
And then the other thing with this generation in general, everybody wants to be the quick entrepreneur overnight.
Right now.
Over like I want to take this class and be a millionaire in 6 months.
Nah.
It doesn't work like
The
that.
microwave era.
It just doesn't. As a
It
matter
takes.
of fact,
What does it take?
like twice as long as you think at least.
What does it take?
And hard work and putting in the work. You know what I'm saying?
Take time.
It takes time. And it takes. I think someone mentioned something about cycling.
Yeah.
Right. You have to take losses. You have to learn. And then as you learn, you go a little bit higher and you lose again. But it doesn't. There's a meme that's like, what you think entrepreneur is and what it really is. Right. That's literally like the honest to God truth. You'll have some good ideas. You'll have some bad ideas. You have some good ideas that you mess up because you don't know what you're doing. Right. And you'll see other people pass you or seemingly pass you, but they're not passing you. That's just their journey.
I was just going to say, their journey is not your journey.
Not your journey.
And it's never too late. You think about it. You talk about what you were doing in 1997. It's 2021.
Correct.
So your time is your time.
Your time is your time.
And it's never too late. So, even as people start, oh man, I'm 40 or I'm about to be 50.
I'm 48 years old, bro.
You never know.
So,
But he put the time in. He put the work, and it was a lot of discipline. People don't understand with entrepreneurship comes discipline. It's gonna come one way or another. You're gonna be disciplined, or you're gonna figure it out. It's gonna come one way or another. But to be successful at entrepreneurship, you gotta be some type of discipline.
And I just think the biggest thing too, takeaway, because I was gonna ask, what everybody's takeaway, but one of my takeaways from today's conversation was don't stop. Like you said, like it's been a 10-year journey, and you've had a lot of wins, but you've been resilient on pivoting. And how is the next business gonna compound it and I'm gonna come back stronger? And that's one of the things to really admire.
And you're prepared that, hey, you know what? If I sell this opportunity or if I sell this business, I've got more in the chamber. So you can come out like this,
guns blazing.
Abundance. Like there's enough in the world for everybody.
Django mentality. I got 2 guns.
Yeah.
Right.
What are some things real quick that y'all picked up?
My takeaway was the part where you just like you and Errol were talking about, where you set aside the ego. Like that's the hardest thing to do, especially like when you're alpha male. Like I'm gonna set aside, let you run my, like you run me. Like you gonna tell me when I gotta go to the bathroom? That's the thought process is.
Yes,
but when you really take yourself out of the equation and let somebody run something and be good at what they're good at, and you do your part, that's why the business is gonna scale and go where it's going. So that was my takeaway.
Yeah.
So two things I took away. One is, just like anything, a relationship, the word ship is in it. So you having the awareness enough to know that with this ship, I have to be over here for it to get to the destination I'm trying to go to. Versus trying to be the captain of the ship. Because if you're the captain of the ship, you better play Titanic. So
right. Again. Hold on. Did y'all see that? Again. He went there before.
So having self-awareness to know that and to willingly operate in that space, I find that very admirable. And then the second thing is just a reoccurring thing. Business is just one giant feedback loop. So you've been adjusting time again, and now you're breaking through, having those wins. So just seeing the adjustments as I was listening to your story.
And it's dope to reinvent that wheel, man, to continue that journey, man, because the longevity. Not a lot of people, like Monique said earlier, not gonna stick with it. They be like, man, this didn't work. Back to work I go. You know what I'm saying? You could have easily said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to corporate America. I know that works.
Yep.
You know, and stay in that little box.
Absolutely.
But you won't be getting these type of offers that you're getting right now today.
Right, and
Movie offers and
yeah.
book
I
offers.
know,
and,
like
you know.
it is so amazing. Like we talk about guru versus guru, and
Right.
I mean, you're doing it. Any
it.
final words or anything that came out for you during today?
For me, is what you said about the mindset of pricing, right? And again, growing up poor, you want to serve everybody, you want to help everybody because you've been in their shoes, right? But again, understanding the value and what it is that you offer. And, you know, there are times when you can do discounts and you can, you know, give people the hookup. But then there are other times when you have to ask the question, like, if you want a discount, what am I not going to give you, right? In exchange for this value that you want to take away from what you're giving me. So that was big.
And what about if they want to join the network?
Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean, while you can get in, while you can. I don't
in
know
for
today's
today's
price
price.
is going to be tomorrow's price.
No. So if you go to join, the software is called Blooksy, Blooksy. So it's like Blooksy with a B or Booksy with a L. Anyway, you can go to Blooksy Books on Instagram. But if you follow me at AJ Joyner, you'll learn all about it.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of All Things Entrepreneur. You just got ATTE Team. Tell them how to find you. Hit me up on Instagram at It's Jessica Myers.
I am Superstar Shauna with
DC on John.
And together we are Flippin' Love.
You can follow me on Instagram at mohustle_810.
You can follow me at The Real Grind Guy on Instagram.
You can find me on all social media outlets at Errol J. Allen.
Be sure to subscribe on our YouTube channel at 8.experience.
They was all skipping class. You graduated to a boss and they didn't pass. Ain't no such thing as losses, only lessons. Break bread, don't block your blessings. Get the money, but you know what's even more precious? Time. Nah, don't talk about it, go do it.